Welcome to the Sunday, January 11th, 2026 Massachusetts Pirate Party member meeting. My name's James O'Keefe. I live in Somerville, and I'm joined today by Steve and Joe. How are you two?
Doing well?
I am well as well.
Excellent. And I see I've started us on the wrong page. Let me get to the right page. There we go. All right. So first item of business are reports. At our previous meeting, um, we said we would support the Black Response of Cambridge's ShotSpotter events. I've notified them of that. The details are at masspirates.org. There's going to be some outreach that's going to go into that, and that, as it turns out, one of those will interfere with an event. We've in Somerville, Cambridge, we've been starting pirate meetups. We had the first one yesterday. That the next one will overlap with one of these outreach events to tell people about shot spotters in their neighborhood. So talking with people locally to see if we want to move it to, a Thursday or something like that, because it is important to, be at these events and help them out. The year-end campaign finance report has been submitted. I put together a very rudimentary budget for 2026, and have not sent that out. I did send out a summary of our expenses to the activist mailing list. We spent more than we usually do because we had the mailing to voters as well as two events, two conference events that we had in earlier in 2025. So those are more than we usually spend, but we have the money, so it's not a big deal. And so yeah, we should settle on a budget and then ideally start fundraising for it. That's, I think, all I have for, well, so there was Trump's what do we call it? Raid? I guess that's the term. Raid on to seize the president of Venezuela. So the U.S. Pirate Party put a statement out about that. And since that aligns with other statements we've had in the past, that's included up on our website. Can't oppose invading Russia and then say it's okay for the U.S. to invade another country. Anyways, so that's all I have for reports. Yeah.
Can we also do a response or a tweet on the U.S. now seizing oil tankers, Venezuelan oil tankers?
Or literally blowing up fishing boats, claiming that they have narcotics on them.
I think, well, no,
No
it's
evidence.
more than that. We've seized 5 oil tankers so far in the past few days.
No, agreed. Would you mind throwing together a statement?
I would
Doesn't have to
love
be
to.
long.
Could I email it to you for final
Sure.
revision?
Yep. Yeah. And I'll make sure it gets to the list and people can look at it.
All right.
Thank you. Does that work for you, Steve?
Sounds fine.
All right, great. So I don't believe we have any decisions and any other reports.
I do. I have
Great.
one. I've been contacted as a potential candidate for 2026. I've been contacted by a group that supports term limits, um, and wants to impose term limits on congressional members And so I'm kind of on the fence on this one because I could see the benefits of it, and because people who are not career politicians obviously tend to do a better job at going in and doing a job and then getting out. But also, I could see the reason for not wanting to put term limits because, say, we as pirates get in, then it would be good for us to stay in order to continue to fight the good fight and push for things that aren't completely, So I tried to impose upon them to reach out to you, Jamie. Sounds like they have not. So I want to know what we as pirates feel about term limits.
I don't think we have stated a position on that. I do remember when Aaron James ran for 26 Middlesex State Representative back in 2016. His viewpoint was, and I think there's some validity to this, of kind of an up or out type of thing. We have so many incumbents that just amass war chests such that no one challenges them in the primary, and they certainly don't have challenges in the general election. And so functionally, they're just in there as long as they want to be. And so having some form of term limits would be like, okay, you get 8 years, 4 terms, do what you're going to do. And if you want to continue to be a candidate, well, you're going to have to run for another office. And that might be an approach to take.
I mean, I see the validity
That's
of it, but um, what I think that we should probably do is put this to the National Committee and see if we can get an open discussion on how we as pirates feel about it in general. Because I'm fine with taking that stance. Um, but I don't have much of an opinion on it myself because I can, again, if we say we elect Steve as president, I would not want to kick Steve out as president because Steve is awesome.
Well, but regardless of that, if you're in favor of term limits, so the folks who stay in office for or career politicians have the same rationale. I'm in here, I'm doing good work, I should continue to do so. Um, I I think it's actually kind of a reasonable thing.
which is
No, having some sort of term limits. I mean, I assume we're talking about U.S. Congress here, correct?
Or
I
even state.
yeah, I think it's all offices, or at least
Okay.
all state and federal would be my guess. I don't know if they would do it at town or city. Probably county too, they would do it.
Hmm.
So I mean, I will say one thing. I remember there was I don't think he's in, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, there was I think his name was Toomey, and he was a state representative, and he was the city councilor for Cambridge. I mean, like, and he was there for a long time in both those roles. And I'm just, that's like when he retired, I'm sure his retirement paycheck was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I believe Somerville started to do or is planning to start doing perhaps this year is essentially for boards and committees. So instead of, your term is up, do you want to continue? Normally they would just, the answer, it would be sure you can keep your seat on the board, but I think now they're going to, it's something like after two appointment periods, you have to apply again. And they're The justification I remember reading was to, you know, give more people a shot at becoming involved. So yeah, I would support term limits.
Well, you guys have convinced me with solid reasoning.
Glad to help, Joe. So yeah, you can have them email info@masspirates.org and we can talk with them about that.
I would like to just propose that we bring this up to the National Committee for general debate on the platform committee.
Sounds good to me. You fine with that, Steve?
Yep.
All right. There you go,
But
Joe.
it's good
Make it
that,
so.
but yeah, I will. Can we just put that as an agenda item that Massachusetts supports, the Mass Pirates support term limits?
Sure, you get that in the notes, Steve?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Yeah, no worries. So U.S. Pirate Party issues. I'm not sure the latest from the news in the latest meeting, but we are working to find a location for the conference, which will be June 6th weekend um, of this year in Boston or places that formerly were Boston. And so we're working out. We've got a bead on a place, so we're trying to work those out and come up with some various other events that some of which will hopefully be family friendly, and schedule things so that folks in California or Hawaii don't have to get up too early. Um,
Actually, I might have a place. I might have some places that we could do it at, like the Lions Club or the Elks, maybe as well. So if we need
okay.
a larger venue, those are always possibilities as well. Might be a little bit more off the beaten path, but I, I know that there are some other venues that we can definitely host larger parties. It really just depends on how many people we have coming, because I don't want to book a ginormous place if we have only like 10 people coming. You know what I mean? Why, why host it? But um, we could always do it at your house, Jamie.
That's true. We could. I probably have enough chairs. Um, just have to make sure someone doesn't come in who should not to be there and put surveillance devices in. Anyhow, to go through the
Or we
house
could
with a fine tooth comb.
we, we could always do my house too, Jamie. Um,
Yes, I know. Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to follow up on those, I'm hoping I'll hear back from the venue that I've mentioned on the activist lists, I think, and certainly the single signal channel about that. That would be great. And so we just want to get these things ironed out and settled as soon as we can so that we can plan accordingly and we know, okay, it's going to be this location, these times, here's how to get there, here are the hotels or wherever, whatever places folks want to go and stay at so people can kind of plan and book and do all that. Because you're right. I mean, we want to get as large a turnout as we possibly can. Um, you know, as we are the fountain of the revolution, being Boston and all.
the
And
spirit of
New England.
America. Spirit of America.
All right. So that's up with that. And then for campaign outreach, um, going through and contacting people, focusing at the moment on Cambridge and Somerville. We had an event yesterday. We'll have others that are scheduled, as well as the various um, ShotSpotter events in Cambridge to, you know, tell people about why having microphones sitting outside their house is perhaps not the best of ideas. Double plus ungood, comrade. And so, yeah, those. Yeah, it's all part of that. Um, in terms of pirate news, unfortunately, we weren't able to record last Sunday, but hopefully this upcoming Sunday. Does that work?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, great. Same bat time, same bat channel. So Commonwealth bills, we've kind of gone back and forth about the privacy bills. And so there are two here. One is the House bill, which is H 4746, an act establishing the Massachusetts Consumer Data Privacy Act. And this one's been out longer. This was unanimously approved by the Senate. S 2619, an act establishing the Massachusetts Data Privacy Act. So what we discussed was we'd go through this as much as we can in the time allotted and comment on it and read it through and tell people about it. And then if we have time, we'll get to the House bill. Otherwise, that'll be at the next meeting. So just looking at the bill history. So the Senate bill, which was passed 40-0 on September 25th. And then it was sent to the House Ways and Means Committee on the 29th of September. So that's the Senate bill. The House bill 4746, which was reported to the Advanced Technology, the Internet, and Cybersecurity Committee on the 17th of November. And then there was the new draft of all those other bills, and then this was reported to, again, the House Ways and Means Committee on the 17th of November. So it's expected in the next, I want to say, certainly month, maybe two, that this will come before various committees and go where, hopefully not die, as so many of these bills do. So that's the status of the bills. So if we look at S 2619, the Senate bill. So we've got Section 1, establishes Chapter 93M, which would be the Massachusetts Data Privacy Act. Section 1 has a lot of terms for like affiliate, affirmative consent, authenticate, biometric data, and so on and so forth. Is there any particular thing we want to look at for?
I mean, honestly, I
These
think we can
terms.
skip over what the terms are. What is the general consensus or the general overview of what this bill is trying to accomplish?
I mean, Massachusetts. Sorry, go, Steve. Yeah, you go.
I can try to I'll take a stab at it. And, it's a long bill, and I've only been able to spend about an hour with it. One of the things is, it does a couple of things. So it basically identifies categories of information that are sensitive. It requires data controllers to obtain consent before collecting sensitive data. It limits a controller's ability to use data outside for purposes other than it was originally collected. It gives consumers the ability to request copies of the data they have, and it gives consumers the ability to ask that their data be deleted, which the controller then has to do, and there are exemptions for all of this stuff, but I think that's the high level gist of it.
Now, would there in the language that you saw in there, did you see anything that establishes any form of legislative or control body, like the Department of Insurance controlling the insurance? Is there any language in there that would actually create a job that requires the oversight of said bill?
So it looked like a lot of this is just has to be covered in contracts between companies. And I believe the Attorney General is the sole party that can enforce it. I'm not sure if I don't recall seeing something about like another agency doing oversight, but I mean the AG's office would be in charge of enforcing it and promulgating regulations.
So essentially, there's two ways that they can go about it. They can put it on into establishing tort law, where the individual would be responsible for saying, hey, this person's not deleting my data. And that would be something that the individual would have to individually sue, or they could have an oversight committee, like, say, for insurances, who have way more power. Now, if you think of the common guy on the street using his phone, he's not going to have any power over these giant companies who are collecting his data. So that does bring up a little bit of concern for enforceability.
Yeah, so the one of the provisions in here is the Attorney General shall create, maintain, and monitor a mechanism for consumers to report potential violations of this chapter. Yeah, so basically, it seems like you.
Sorry, what section is that?
The easiest way to find it is to go all the way to the bottom. So section 4 is section 2 shall take effect on June 1st, 2027.
Yep.
Then go up to the preceding C.
Got it. Thank you. Is that good, Joe? Steve?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Didn't want to make sure we didn't have connectivity issues. Sorry. There was that pause.
I disconnected. Does that count?
Okay. Yeah, you were talking about section C, Steve.
Yeah, so
I asked you where that was. Sorry.
Yeah, and it was it was the it seems that whenever these things have enumerated lists, there's not, they're all indented at the same level, at least in the web version. So that makes it a little challenging to see. But basically, it would be section 10C, where this is section in lowercase, which is part of section 1, where section is in all uppercase. Yeah, so 10B says that a violation of this chapter shall constitute an unfair or deceptive trade practice for the purposes of Chapter 93A. The Attorney General shall have exclusive authority to bring a civil action against a controller or processor that violates this chapter or regulation adopted under this Chapter 2. And then it lists what the Attorney General can do. Including injunction and imposing civil penalties of up to $5,000 per violation.
So what other section should we look at, Steve?
So section 7, I made a note of when I was reading. What was in section 7? Oh, this is the stuff that a controller cannot do, which I thought was kind of nice. So a controller shall not conduct processing that presents a heightened risk of harm to a consumer without conducting and documenting a data protection assessment for each of the controller's processing activities that present such a heightened risk of harm to a consumer. Now, what is heightened risk of harm to a consumer? This includes, but not limited to, the collection or processing of personal data for targeted advertising, sale of personal data, using the data to profile, collecting sensitive data. Sensitive data is a term defined in in the definition section. So that I thought that was kind of useful.
So like Experian data.
No, there is an exemption for credit reporting agencies.
No.
Yes. So, and it seems that this this bill references a whole lot of other Massachusetts and federal things, but it seemed like the exception for credit agencies was to allow them to comply with the Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Actually, that makes sense, unfortunately. So no more random spam calls? Is there anything in here about spam calls?
I don't think
No,
so.
I did not see that. So yeah, in section 3, B, there are a set of exemptions.
Just scrolling to that. Okay, so for the health information, it's saying this is covered elsewhere? HIPAA, presumably?
Yeah, I think so. But
Okay.
this largely seems to be, focused on targeted ads and profiling.
I mean, that's still a win.
Yeah, I'm still concerned about government, especially this federal government, being able to just buy the data, the location data that they want,
Well,
rather
that's
than, get a
considered
warrant.
the precise location data is something that would be covered under this act. So precise is anything that gives your location within an accuracy of 1,750 feet.
That's pretty broad.
Yeah. Now, another section that's worth looking at is section 4, which begins, a consumer shall have the right to. So you can confirm whether your data is being collected or processed. You can ask for which third parties your data has been transferred to. So this could be like a controller giving the data to someone to do some sort of processing, in which case the other party is a processor. You can correct inaccuracies. You could have personal data deleted, obtain a copy, opt out of collection and processing. Yeah, opt out of collection and processing. And if your personal data is used to make a decision that produces quote unquote legal or similarly significant effects concerning a consumer, you have the right to question the result of that, of the, decision that was made on that basis, and be informed why it was, which is, that's also kind of interesting.
You thinking in terms of redlining and stuff like that?
There's, maybe your maybe you're turned down for an insurance policy or turned down for a job, based on an algorithmic decision.
Right.
I mean, I just like looking up how to make EMP devices for educational purposes.
Okay, Joe. Something to keep in
I'm
mind.
just saying.
Just
The
saying.
one,
I mean, I just want an EMP gun. They just seem like fun. I have too many calculators that need destroying.
one thing that's I think is, that where the bill is a little too grants a little too much leeway is if a consumer asks for their information, basically makes a request of a data controller. The data controller has to respond, quote unquote, without undue delay and not more than 45 days after receipt. 45 days seems a bit long to me, but yeah, it seems a bit long.
Yeah, that's over a month. Yeah. So if you can get it done earlier, great. But, if they shortchange the budget for your department that's supposed to do this, such that you do it in 50 days, yeah, I'm sure someone will look at the profitability markers of that.
Mhm.
Anyways.
Yeah, my only concern is that it's going to fall under the district attorney instead of being a separate body in this. And the district attorney is going to be pretty well encumbered from actual criminals. Um, so I would rather see this in the hands of a separate department, like the Department of Insurance, Department of Mental Health, etc. But all in all, this is a pretty solid bill.
I mean, theoretically, if it's under the attorney general, then we have the ability to replace said attorney general. Where if it's a board, that's at the behest of the governor and the legislature, right?
Who we could also replace,
That's true.
in
Yeah,
theory.
in theory. Yeah, in theory. Funny how not so in practice. Okay. All right. Other stuff we should look at, Steve, that you thought was interesting?
I think that pretty much covers it.
How do you feel about this bill, Steve?
I think I feel good. I think overall it's got some good stuff. I would feel supportive.
I support your
Well,
support.
do we want to look at the House bill, or do we want to have time to review it at our leisure and revisit in 2 weeks?
I'd say I'd like to review it first.
That
I
seems
am for
advisable.
revisit. Yeah, for
Because,
2 weeks.
when you compare the House bill, you've got to do two things. One is look at what's in the bill itself, and number two is try to figure out what's different between this and the Senate version.
Absolutely. All right.
Got one more small thing to add about a
Sure.
correction. I thought that my previous opponent was going to be running for senator. She is trying to run for senator, but she's running for senator, state senator, uh, against her own Democratic primary. So she hasn't quite gotten the endorsement to be the senator yet. She's going up against uh, both her and another challenger are going for the Senate, the person who would be running for Senate. Um, so we'll see how that pans out. So I might still be running against the incumbent, which would again be a difficult fight, but you know, so it's not
Well,
set in
she's got
stone as
a
to who I'm running.
papers become available roughly around, I know we have the date, but it's like March 10th, February 10th or so. So she would have to pull papers and get on the ballot And once she is a candidate for that, it's not like she can switch. Once she's a candidate for Senate, it's not like she can switch to the House if she's already a candidate for Senate. So
Yeah, I think it's right before then the Democrats do their primary and vote to see who's running for who. So I think
I
it's
think the
Rodney
primary's not
Elliott.
till September, right?
Uh, for the Democrats to see who they're running, they're campaigning against each other. So when I saw the signs, I thought she was going for Senate, and I thought that's what it was. But I was
Hmm.
incorrect. It's in the own party in this area. There's two candidates who want Senate who are both House representatives, Rodney Elliott and uh, Vanna Howard. And so it's just an interesting perspective for me to see how they're campaigning against each other. And it's going to be very helpful for me when I campaign against, if I have to campaign against Vanna Howard, I get to just use Ron E. Elliott's talking points to use against Vanna later. It's actually pretty good.
Sure. Has anyone announced for her district?
I don't think so. I think right now the fight is for the Senate piece.
Okay.
She was really close to Edward Kennedy before he died, and so she worked with Edward Kennedy. I mean, they lived like a few streets away from each other, so you know. But she's originally from Andover, not even from Lowell. You know, her husband being a rich real estate guy who's made tons of money in the real estate market. So that's where she gets all of her funding,
Okay.
or a good portion of it.
Thanks for that
So
update, Joe. So is
yeah,
there anything? Yeah, go on. Sorry.
sorry, I just wanted to make that correction because I made some said something that wasn't factually correct, and I'd rather be honest.
Sure. No, thanks. Is there anything else we want to consider, or should we adjourn?
I think we could adjourn.
Are you
Second,
fine with that? No, second. There we go. And all in favor? Aye.
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 Great. Thanks to the two of you. Thanks for folks who have reached this far in our meeting recording. You can find us at masspirates.org. All members we encourage all members to come out and join us for these meetings. The agendas are always, a week or more, posted a week or more at our wiki, masspirates.org/wiki. And yeah, we've got some events coming up. Hope folks can make it to. Did I put it in here? No, I didn't put it here. I'll have to update this. Sorry. The event that's coming up a week from this Thursday at 6 o'clock for on ShotSpotter and why we shouldn't have them. Thanks to our wonderful friends at the Black Response. So hope folks can come out for that, and hope to see folks in the Cambridge Somerville area at one of our upcoming meetups. So with that, have a wonderful week, and we will hopefully have a recording come next week. All right, take care.